Thank you, Madam President. I'm rising in strong opposition to the confirmation of the Board of Parole Hearings Commissioner Rosalind Sargent Burns. We've heard the background of some of the most monstrous individuals here in California that have been released under this individual. And what I really want to do is I want to bring it home, because I know every single person in here is wrestling with their vote. As humans, as mothers, fathers, family members, you are wrestling with your vote. Commissioners have the ability to be independent thinkers and to weigh an independent decision when they vote on the release of violent sexual predators. We all have the ability to make an independent voice and vote on every single appointment by the governor. That is what makes us different in the Senate than in the Assembly. We have the agency to ask the questions, to investigate, to interrogate, and to make a decision based on who is going to be protecting the victims of each and every one of our districts. Now, the people in my district, we sleep well at night, but we sleep locked and loaded. Strong supporters of the Second Amendment. Why? Because of appointments like Commissioner Rosalind Sargent Burns. When we give the power and authority through appointment to non-elected officials to make decisions about the welfare and safety of our children and families by releasing sexually violent predators back into the community, you better believe I will vote over and over and over again to protect Second Amendment rights for my constituents. When I read about people like David Allen Funston, who this commissioner voted to release, I have to ask myself, where was the independent decision-making? Although the full board upheld to grant release in February 2026, the law permits independent judgment for these decisions. Where was Rosalind Sargent Burns' independent judgment? For offender Gregory Volgensang, he was convicted of nearly 30 counts of kidnapping and sex crimes against children ages 5 to 11. 5 to 11. Children who many have not even began to menstruate. 5 to 11. The appointment of this commissioner, Rosalind Sargent Burns, weighs on the health of those children. Over 30 counts of children ages 5 to 11, sentenced to 355 years to life. Yet this commissioner, Rosalind Sargent Burns, along with the board, granted him parole in November 2025. I wonder how many of you are willing to have Gregory Volgensang your neighbor. I am not. And as a representative of District 4, we are not. Of Roberto Detrinand, an offender that this commissioner, Rosalind Sargent Burns, voted for release, he broke into the sleeping woman's San Francisco apartment in the middle of the night, climbing into her bed and sexually assaulting her while she lay unconscious. If we truly want to uphold public safety for those who fear for their life the most, the law-abiding individuals of California, not the Roberto Detrinands, not the David Funstons, and not the Gregory Volgensangs, we must question our vote today on the floor to continue to appoint a commissioner such as Rosalind Sargent Burns, who granted Roberto Detrinand early parole in January of 2026. He served less than 9 years for a stranger home invasion sex crime. A stranger invasion sex crime. And you wonder why there are so many law-abiding gun owners in California. Current law is requiring independent judgment. Current law protects each legislature on this floor on independent judgment. It does not require that blindly following psychology reports and the liberal governor's push to free up prison beds, regardless of public safety. The law does not require you to vote on party lines independent of protection of your constituents. Stranger home invasions with sex crimes. Your constituents going to sleep, and Roberto Detrinan's early release from parole by the Commissioner Sergeant Burns, reoffending. Commissioners still decide whether an inmate poses an unreasonable risk to the public. And I ask all of you today to ask yourselves that by your vote, are you posing an unreasonable risk to your constituents? You can say no, you should say no to protecting serious sex offenders. No one should have to live in fear that a serial child molester or violent predator could be released next door because commissioners choose leniency over protection of the law-abiding public. I respectfully ask you to exercise independent judgment and vote no on this confirmation.